Hey team, today we're shooting the Glock 17 Gen 5 MOS. And one of the upgrades that we did to this gun was we added the Apex trigger with the Taran tactical spring kit. Let's go ahead and run a few drills and see what we think. Okay, we're looking at 6 flat on that run. Let's go ahead and try it again. All right, here we go. I guess it helps if you put your targets back up before you try to do a run again. Let's go ahead and reset this and see what we can do. Okay team, now that we got our targets back up, let's go ahead and try another run on this. All right, here we go. Okay team, we're looking at a 5.68 on that run. We did pretty good. So today we are shooting the Winchester white box from Walmart. Now I gotta say guys, I shoot this predominantly when I'm out training and doing stuff. I've only had, out of the thousands and thousands of rounds that I've shot, I've only had 2 malfunctions with the white box personally. They were both light primer strikes, and I changed out the striker spring on my Glock, on my Gen 4, and that seemed to fix the problem, and I haven't had an issue with it since. I've run probably 500 or 600 rounds through this Gen 5 MOS and haven't had an issue with it. So as you guys know, I'm not a huge fan of the stock triggers that Glock put in these Gen 5s. I've shot the 19X, the 45, the 19, and the 17 Gen 5s as well. I haven't tried the 26 or the 34, but the ones that I've shot just are real mushy. There's no defined wall there, and they are just, they seems like it travels right through it, almost like a double action would, where you just got one fluid motion through there. I like to have a wall. So when you take up your slack, I like having that wall right there. You can compress just a little bit, take that slack up, and then you got a wall, and then a short, crisp break. And that's what the Apex trigger does for us, guys. It gives us that wall. There's very little pre-travel, and there's very little, if any, over-travel. When I added the Taran tactical spring kit to this gun, it made a huge difference. It dropped the poundage to about 3 pounds, to the lowest I got on the Wheeler trigger gauge was 2 3/4 pounds, and we'll show that to you here in a little bit. But I don't recommend anybody running that spring kit in their defensive guns, because I've, getting used to it and going through stages and whatnot with a couple matches I shot, I had a shot break a little bit sooner than I wanted to. I still made an accurate shot and still was safe doing it, but it broke sooner than I thought, just because I wasn't quite familiar with the poundage on that trigger. So I recommend you guys run factory springs or something a little more in your defensive guns. But as far as competition goes, this is a great setup. Having the Apex trigger in there with a Taran tactical spring kit is a great combination. Okay, we did do that in a 9.95, so that's kind of slow, but all 5 of our shots on there are inside that 3x5, so let's check it again. Okay, that's a 4.59. We sped up a little bit, but all 5 of our shots are on there, so let's go ahead and give it another whirl. Okay guys, we bumped that down to a 3.94. Okay team, so we just finished up doing a couple runs at 10 yards on our 3x5 card. And our last time was 3.94. Again, we weren't really going full speed. We were kind of going about 3/4 speed to half speed right there. But we were able to get 5 shots on there. Now, I did drop one, and I think that was on that last run that I did. I did drop one. But as you can see, you know, I was really focusing on the feel of that trigger. The reset was great. The pre-travel was little to none, so that trigger's really breaking good. I really like that flat face trigger shoe on there. I think Apex did a great job with that. The spring kit seems to be working. I'm getting used to having that, like I said, about a 3-pound trigger pull on there. So I think the combination between the Apex and the Taran tactical spring kit's a good competition setup. You guys ought to give them a try. Okay guys, so here's a little bit of a close-up of the trigger. It does have a flat face trigger shoe on it. Now, it has that safety tongue here just like the factory Glock triggers do. And with this one, you'll notice that there's a lot less slack in there. But, you know, I do like the slack myself. I like being able to take that up and having that defined wall there. And with the Apex trigger, that's what you get. So you take up the slack, and then you'll notice that there's a little bit of travel before it breaks, but not much. A little bit of travel, but not much as it breaks. So that's pretty good. And then a reset. So that's pretty short. Real crisp, real defined. You can feel it, you can hear it. Everything that everybody desires, a tactile trigger reset, as it were. So I think you guys will really like this. It really improves this Gen 5 Glock tremendously. If you're shooting in competitions, I highly recommend that you get something like this. Again, the spring kit that I have on there aids in the poundage and whatnot as well. So let's go ahead and see what it reduced it to. So here, get it on the trigger shoe, try to pull back, and we got just over 3 pounds on that one. Let's try it again. Let's go ahead and reset this. Get it on there, pull straight back as possible. And that one broke just under 3 pounds. And you got right about 3 pounds. Okay team, so the holster that we're running today was our Patriot. And this holster is made out of .08 Kydex. It has adjustable retention. We do add adjustable ride height on it. And we do provide injection molded belt loops on there. And these are reversible as well. Another thing guys is if you purchase our inside the waistband belt clips, you can take these belt loops off and add those, and this will double as a inside the waistband holster. Alright, so we did add also a drainage in here in case you get brass or something that falls in. And of course we do have a close cut to the muzzle Kydex here. That way it reduces your print or won't go past your shirt if you are carrying concealed outside the waistband. You can find these on our website at AmericanFamilyConcealment.com. Okay team, so all in all I'd have to say that I highly recommend the Apex trigger. I think that it's a huge improvement and a huge upgrade from the factory trigger that's put in here. Again, you have that defined wall. There's a lot shorter take up. There's a lot shorter pre-travel and little to no over travel in the trigger at all. As far as defensive purposes go, I would just put the trigger shoe and the trigger bar, the Apex, in the gun and leave the spring kit alone. You might be able to have somebody, and maybe even a connector. You might even put a reduced connector in there. That wouldn't be a bad deal either. But as far as the spring goes, I really don't think that you want to go much below 4 pounds. My defensive triggers are typically right around the 4.5 pound mark. So competition, I went ahead and dropped the Taran tactical springs in there, and again it brought me down to about that 3 pound mark. And even for competition, I wouldn't want to go much less than that. The trigger's smooth. It's definitely precise. When it breaks, it breaks. There's no, like I said, very little pre-travel in there at all. So I highly recommend it for defensive purposes and competition purposes. I thank everybody for watching our videos, and remember to take your kids out shooting.